What's Patrice's status?
Taking an extra day again today, obviously. That's to be decided tomorrow. If he feels well enough, he'll play. If not, we've done a really good job down the stretch of trying to, Noshik missed the game, was under the weather. Sway was off today, under the weather. So we're just trying to monitor that and make sure we balance it out. Patrice doesn't need extra days of practice. So if he feels better, he'll play.
And you say Sway was sick?
Yeah.
With Bergeron, is it illness or injury?
A little bit of both.
Is there a bug in the locker?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
If Pavel has to jump into that spot, how much confidence have you got in him when he's been able to play there down the stretch here?
A lot, with David coming back in, Krejci, to go back with his line. Pavel's assumed a lot of those responsibilities, and he's handled it really well. I mean, obviously the face-offs, if that comes up, it's lefties versus righties, and Patrice is one of the best in the game. So it's an area where everybody has to dig in, and when one of your better players is out, like we've played different games with Patrice this year being out, and all those guys have stepped in. But that's to be decided, so we're not focused on that. Obviously, Pavel gets some reps. That's much needed to play with Jake and Brad, because he hasn't played a lot with them. And Charlie Coyle's moved around there as well. But that's not something we're overly concerned about at this point.
A couple of questions about Patrice and David. There was a time period, a couple of weeks, where you didn't know what their future was going to be for this season. So did you have to go through the exercise of actually looking at your roster and sketching out what it would look like without those two in place?
Way back in the summertime? Yes and no. You're running simultaneous things in terms of what direction you may take the organization. We hadn't made Pavel trade hadn't happened. There's a lot of things that hadn't happened at that point in time. So we were kind of running simultaneous, waiting for those decisions to be, to be concrete and map out plans. We were even going through that in the coaching search, as a matter of fact. So we were somewhat trying to prepare for both, while we awaited. But obviously the path that we got to go down was the one our first choice, second choice, and third choice in my mind.
And then ultimately for them to come back on the 35 and over deals that they signed to, how did that expand your options in terms of team building when you know that finite amount is relatively small?
Well, certainly from a flexibility standpoint, and being aggressive in Pavel's case as well, knowing the likely arbitration case or the due diligence that Evan had done on knowing what that contract may be. But we were hopeful that we were going to, as I said, when Pavel came here, that we would find a landing spot. It just provided some flexibility overall. But we still had decisions to make at the first part of the year that were very difficult for us, especially in light of the injuries with guys returning. It's far different if guys are going to be out, and they're out, for the whole year, as opposed to people that are going to be returning at certain stages. And several teams went through the exact same process, trying to avoid off-season cap. LTI as opposed to in-season, a lot of variables, but, fortunately I've got a really, dedicated staff, and Evan does a really good job, but the pro guys did a really good job in all facets of the year. So we just kind of, maneuvered as best we could.
I know you guys have played without Bergeron before in the regular season, but to enter the playoffs without your captain, how do you expect your team to respond?
Yeah, I mean, we've been a team that's relied on depth all year. I mean, clearly, as I said, the focus shouldn't be today on Patrice's status. It should be on where our team and where we're ready. Everybody's back at ground zero from the standpoint of the playoffs. You just got to go, whether you get injuries in the first part of the year or sickness the first part of the series, at the end of it, you're all going to deal with it. Just move forward. The depth is what it is for our hockey club, and we feel really good about that.